Good evening. It is the UK Table Football Show on a Sunday night. We're not going to quite get started yet. We're just waiting for more people to join us. I can see we've got 3 people live at the moment. Suddenly we'll have 10, and we'll have 15, and we'll have 20. That's how 4 people. So if you're out there watching, let us know. And you can send a message in Facebook. You can send a message in YouTube. That's how you engage, and that's how we chat. I said going live in a moment. I've already gone live. If you don't know who I am, I'm Will Hawks. Nice to meet you. British Foosball Association, and it's our show. 5 people out there live. Come on, guys. Let us know who's out there. We're going to have a great show. We've got 2 fantastic guests tonight. Martyn Harris and Dave Oates are going to be telling us all about their years in, we got Bristol. We're going to talk about tournament soccer. We're going to talk about the pull kick and the dink and just loads of stuff. But 6 people out there. Right, we've got some comments coming in. So let's see. Mike Russell watching. Hi, Mike. Watching in Chester. Mike, I know, said to me he was going to try and watch and also do some study at the same time. So how's that going, Mike? Let us know. Mike also shouting out Reese, because we all know Reese likes to watch. Reese, of course, if you don't know Reese Roberts, he watches this show, and then at 2 o'clock in the morning, he'll be listening to Foos Talk Live. Kevin Fitzgerald. Hi, Kevin. Great Bristol stalwart. You feature somewhere in tonight's story. Who else? Reese has given us a greeting. Hi, Reese. Who else have we got? Gor Avetisian in Armenia. Hi, Gor. Great to see you. How are you doing? Who else? Paul Martyn out there. Good evening. Hi, Paul. Yeah, Mike Russell not doing very well studying. So, okay, let me do a little bit of blurb, and then we will get on with our show. So, yeah, we've been talking about table football for 15 months or something. What are we, May? When our last tournament was March last year, the London Garlando Open, still the last ITSF tournament in the calendar. Dave Zeman is with us. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you. So, 17th of May, I think things get a little bit better. When I had a look at the UK government regulations, indoor sport, you're allowed to do it up to 50% of the capacity of the venue. And we all know that the bars and restaurants are going to start doing, indoor things from May the 17th. So I reckon kind of a little bit of foosball happens on May the 17th. And then we all have to wait and see what June the 21st looks like. I said to someone the other day, don't be surprised if we're going to have sanitizer, we're going to have masks, we're going to have social distancing. That's going to be around for a while to come. Albert Ando would like a shout out. How could I forget you, Albert? I think you're also going to feature in tonight's show a little bit. Great to see you, Albert. So yeah, we're all waiting to see when we can get back on the table. But I blooming can't wait. What else have I got here to just talk about? This year, 2021, we're not going to do like a big full season. We all know that. It's all about preparing for what 2022 is going to look like. How can we have clubs and communities growing locally, regionally, nationally, having a great season next year? This year, I kind of think we just need to do a UK Championship at some point so we know who's going to go to Nantes next year. And if anyone's going to organise tournaments, I know Katarzyna might have something for the Midlands. Dave Clearhill might have something in Manchester. I might be able to do something down here in London. We'll just kind of see how things go at the moment. So it's all about getting ready for next year. Also, I don't know if she's out there yet, but I'm told it's Katarzyna Majowska's birthday today. So if you're there, Kat, happy birthday. If not, when she does turn up, then we've got to say happy birthday to her. And also, I bet he's not there, but I have heard that JP Thompson's become a dad. Twice over. But that's only hearsay. It may not be true, but so it's a little bit of congratulations to JP Thompson, maybe twice over for being a dad. And when Kat turns up, we'll say happy birthday to her. But enough of me. Let's get on with the people you really want to see, who are, of course, our guests tonight. We've got Martyn Harris and Dave Oates. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm so
How are
pleased. It's so cool. When I started putting these shows together, I said to people, who should we get? And everyone said, come on, you've got to get Martyn and Dave. We want to hear, we got to hear the TS, the Bristol. Reese is confirming JP had twins.
Excellent.
Well done, Jamie.
Yeah. So, and just great to see you guys. We've been talking about, Dave has got 79 pages of PowerPoint for us to go through today. 79 pages. Dave, I'm glad it didn't work for you.
Yeah.
You must have done some presentations.
Hell of a presentation, yeah.
Let's get on with, guys, what's this? Tell us how you met. Tell us how you started playing foosball. The origin story.
My table. I wonder if anybody knows what table that is. Anybody listening, watching, who knows what that table is?
Yeah, I think it's. Anyway, we were talking about this. I think it looks gorgeous, Martyn.
That table.
Looks lovely.
That table is called a Lilliput, as in Gulliver's Trouble or Gulliver's whatever. And that was a table that was in my youth club when I was a teenager. Alongside a dartboard and a table tennis table, there was a little coffee bar, and we used to drink. So it was a place to meet, and that Lilliput table got used. I mean, I started to play it. I loved it. A few other guys started to play it, but not so much. And that was my first experience on a table football table. And there it is, the Lilliput. Not sure if there's any around. That was an old Google photo I've managed to drag out just for today.
Well, our foosball nerds, Albert said, "Is it a Lilliput?" Paul Martyn also.
Well done.
Paul also says it's the only UK-made table.
Wow.
Can I just say, by the way, thank you very much for inviting me to the Paul Martyn show. I don't know why you profess to call it anything to do with the BFA. I know it's Paul's show, but thank you very much, Paul. Much appreciated.
Martyn, I was trying to invite Paul Martyn today, but I typed Martyn Harris by mistake. So
it won't be the same without him.
So who else got Dave Zeman saying hi to you? Reese Roberts saying
hello, Dave. Hiya, Dave. Hiya, Reese. Oh, my goodness. Long time, mate. Yeah.
Albert's remembering. You have to tell us later about who these guys are.
Albert, we're gonna tell. Aren't we, Dave? We are going to mention them because they're an integral part of
our. So you were playing on a Lilliput in the youth club, Martyn. Dave, were you playing, or did you? How did it come together?
I think what happened was Bristol Coin Equipment were the people who got the tournament soccer distribution rights for the UK. Yeah, when it first started. And they had an amusement arcade called Mad Harry's in town in Bristol. And a guy called Pete Ottman that knew my brother got me down there starting to play it. And we were starting to play in Mad Harry's on this one TS table. That must have been one of the first ones that ever came in this country. And he worked at Phoenix Assurance where Martyn worked. And in Phoenix Assurance were amazingly in the work canteen or wherever, Martyn will tell you, they had some tournament, they had some table soccer tables, but I think they were a FAS, but Martyn will elaborate. And what happened was Pete knew that Martyn played there at Phoenix. The TS thing started to take off where they started to bring the Americans into play. And of course I needed a partner. And he introduced me to Martyn, who was playing in the Key Youth Club at the time. Martyn can take over a bit there.
You said, Dave, you just walked in one day and you were looking for a partner, and Martyn was there. Well, Dave walked in and said, "Will you play with me?" Was that how it went?
Yeah, sorry. I had a bit of a glitch on the system then. Yeah, so I was playing on the Lilliput. I'll never forget it. We're talking 1976. I mean, crikey. I can forget a lot of things, but I won't forget this. And Pete and Chris and Dave came in, and Pete said, "Oh, this is introduced me to Dave Oates," and told the story of how we needed a partner, and we jumped on the Lilliput, I seem to recall, and had a good time. And our friendship began there, really, and that's how we started to play. Yeah, and the table at Phoenix. I think it was our tournament.
Was there like a national Lilliput scene? Was there a UK championship?
No. In fact, the only you won't remember this, Dave. Perhaps you will. The only scene there was another youth club, the other side of the track, so to speak. and they had quite a good team. Do you remember? And we challenged them to a game. It was the best of their club against the best of our club, and I remember that we were victorious. But no, that was how we started. Basically, youth clubs, and then playing on TS tables.
It's a great advert for youth clubs, because a lot of you guys know I've been banging on for a while. Youth clubs is where you want to go and start a foosball team. May the 18th, I'm in the youth club near here doing a session with the kids. So if you've got a youth club near where you are, Albert and I talked about this in Brighton. Go and find your youth clubs, guys. Go and talk to them. Children that age, they love to play foosball. You've got, you were doing it in the 70s, and here you are now, guys.
Yeah.
Lots of greetings coming in for you, Kevin Fitzgerald.
Hi, Kev, mate. Great to see you, mate.
Mike Cohen.
Kevin. Hey, Mike. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Mike. Oh, blooming Henry. Alina. Hi, Alina. Good grief.
Stick around, Alina. Stick around, Alina. I've got a good photo of you, Alina.
And Greg Grant over in the US. Hi, Greg. Nice to see you.
Oh, hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Kevin Fitzgerald. You see, there are people out there. So, guys, so you're playing on Lilliput. You're beating up the local youth clubs. What happened next? My next picture looks like that. UK Championships. I love this picture.
Yeah.
But you go quite quickly from the youth club to this.
There was a bit of a story between that. That's our tournament there, isn't it, Dave? That's the big one.
That was the big one, yeah.
But before that, you see, Will, we toured around looking for other TS tables, and the Americans were in town, and there was posters up all over Bristol, come and beat the US professionals, and so I think Dave spotted this poster to play in a pub called the Merchant Venturer. Now, it must have been in 77. With that tournament, your poster in 78. And two of the nicest American pro masters came over. The attacker, the lead guy, was a bloke called Larry Folk, F-O-L-K. And was that Marcio at the back, Dave? Was it Marcio Bonilla?
It was Marcio Bonilla, yeah.
Right, and what a nice guy he was. Anyway, so Dave and I took our turn, put our money on the table, and they absolutely bashed us. They battered us. But what was interesting was, obviously their 5-bar compared to ours was legendary, but Larry Folk's shot was the pool kick. And that, I didn't even know mine was called a pool kick. I was just shooting it, and that was what I shot. And my pool kick then was okay. When it was on. But Larry Folk's pool kick was, he would hit it long, and everybody in the pub would turn around and wonder what it was. And that was the first time that we had ever seen anybody using the roll, the open palm roll instead of the wrist. And we played them again, and Larry Folk, you could hit the ball so hard then, it would go in one goal, it would come out the other side. It was fantastic. And I thought, this is a guy, he's shooting my shot, and it took me all night to work out that he wasn't actually shooting it like I was shooting it, he was rolling it. And we had a word with him afterwards, and he was he was a great ambassador for the game, and he told me or us how to do it, and he said what was happening. First of all, we thought it was a spin. Hi, Albert. It wasn't a spin; it was a roll. But that was the first time we'd seen the roll.
And you're playing on. This is on the blue top tournament soccer table.
On a blue top TS, yeah. And they'd come over. The money that was put into tournament soccer then was ridiculous, and you can see by that poster how big it was in the States. But
what? Yeah, what? I'm sorry, Mark. Karen.
No, I've just never seen. We'd never seen it shot. We'd never seen anything doing roll. And of course, we were both keen to learn the roll, and he was banking like mad once we'd learned it.
Well, that's right. You see, until then, we'd never seen a bank shot. We were just shooting pull shots from the back, push shots, but we weren't doing banks. So as soon as we knew that could be done, and as soon as we knew there was a roll, we went off and practiced like nut jobs. Practice the roll, I was practicing banking 2 hours a night and goodness knows what, because they'd announced then with this TS Pro Am people coming over, they'd announced that they were going to be doing all these tournaments for trips to, free trips to the United States. So obviously we got a bit incentivized.
Got some more. I'm going to kind of click through these. I can't. This is a different time, isn't it? So that's not this. That's a bit different, Dave. But these are. This is 79. When did you go to the US then? When did you win?
78.
78.
The big one was 78, and that was such a hard-fought competition. You'll never know. Yeah, just that one. I mean, just spend 2 minutes on that one. That was a tournament that we entered. Pete and Chris were just as good as us, I'm pretty sure, at the time. And there were some really good teams. Good teams from London, I'm sure. Paul was
Titch and Bruce.
Titch and Bruce, Paul Martyn. There were some great teams in Manchester. But this was the biggest, and still was the biggest, and has been the biggest to today, tournament in the UK. And it was the top 5 teams that are going to go to the Super Doubles in Minneapolis to play for a Corvette Stingray. I mean, it's ridiculous, each. And this is the one that, well, I'll tell you what, just for fun.
I'm zooming because I'm looking at the Championship Tour, guys. Look at that. That is, this is the tour you were playing on.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So did you go around and have to qualify going to these different events?
You didn't have to qualify. It was open.
This is a game, Will. It was a massive tournament in Birmingham. And I did count myself very fortunate to have won it, because every game we stayed in the winner's bracket by the skin of our teeth. Every game near the end was best of 3. We lost the first and won the last on meatball. And we were getting closer and closer. And in the game that remember, we were 20, I was 21, Dave was 19, and crikey, a trip to America playing table football. It's Christmas. And we were 1 game away, and we had to play our arch rivals, Kev Ferris and Mehdi. What 2 fantastic players from Bath. Kev Ferris had this sort of off the table, or even on the table, attitude. He was sort of, it was great to watch, but terrifying to play against, because it was almost worth a goal a game to them with what he was putting out. And Mehdi at the front had the sweetest pull shot. It was one of those pull shots where you didn't hear anything, you just sort of, just a waft of air and it would go in. And that was a terrifying we got thrashed in the first game. And I thought we had to change things. Do you remember, Dave? Mehdi had put this white powder stuff on the handle. And as we were changing, I couldn't play with this white powder. I could. But I said, look, you're going to have to, take this stuff off. And there was a bit of a hoo-ha, and this, that, and the referee came over and he said, look, you can't leave that on there. So Mehdi spent the next 10 minutes chipping off all this white stuff to put the game position. Anyway, we won that game, and he did exactly the same on the final game, which went to meatball, Will. Can you imagine meatball? And we were, and there it is.
America.
We were 21, 19 years old. We were 1 ball away from a complete dream. And I remember setting it up, and Dave was shooting and blocking like mad, and so was Ferris. When it came to 1-4, I had the ball at the front. I called the timeout. We walked over. There's loads of people watching. There was a balcony above. There was loads of people shouting from the balcony, but not on the shot. Anyway, I lined the ball up. Ferris knew what I was going to do, and I knew what I was going to do. I was going to dink him. And the reason I was going to dink him was because I hadn't been dinking him before. But he thought, well, on meatball, he's going to dink me. So I lined the ball up. We waited and waited, and I hit the sweetest, didn't I, Dave? The sweetest dink you've ever seen in near post dink.
He just twitched.
He went in. We went nuts, and Ferris said, I didn't move, and he was ranting him. I did not move. You cannot tell me I moved. I knew he was going to do it. He didn't. And honestly, it was like the gods opened up that door just a fraction, and it went in, and that was legendary. And from that moment on, we carried on winners final, and those games afterwards were very easy, weren't they, Dave?
Yeah.
And we ended up winning the whole thing.
But I mean, there were so many.
Sorry.
There were so many good players at that tournament that people might remember now. That, I mean, obviously Bruce and Titch and Paul Martyn was fantastic, but there was Ramsey McKellen from Blackpool, and a guy called Spike, his partner from Blackpool, and a whole load of good people. I'm not sure. Kev Fitzgerald might tell me whether Kev Fitz and John Fitz were there just watching and playing or whatever, I have to say. But it was full of, really the top players. And I think there were 5 spots to go to the Minneapolis Super Doubles.
Yeah, 5 UK spots and Ireland as well, Dave.
Yeah, and Ireland, yeah. And so that's where, all of us qualified to go to, if you move on now, to the Minneapolis Super Doubles.
I'm going to try and find it because you've actually got the qualification list. It's this one, isn't it? Money winners list. So here we go. Get your specs out, folks. So is this this is the one which says Minneapolis trip and Chicago trip?
Yeah.
Oh no, not on that one. Sorry, that's the wrong one. This
previous one.
You can talk while I try and get the right screen up here again. Sorry.
I'll tell you something. Will. When we won, actually, Dave and I have talked about this since that day. But I ran to the section. I phoned my mum and dad. And I said, guess what? We qualified for a trip to America. And then later I told them that they'd won the thing outright. And from then, Davis mentioned Ramsey and Spike. Well, they went on the ITV version of Blue Peter, a program called Magpie. Can you remember that, Will? No, you can't remember Magpie. Okay, so we have Blue Peter and Magpie, and he was on there. We were interviewed on ITV Local News by Ken Rees. Remember Dave down at Mad Harry's?
Yeah.
And Ken Rees went on to be an ITV mainline news reporter. And we were in all the newspapers, the local Bristol newspapers.
Well, he's got the pictures of that in a minute.
So, this is the I know it's not quite, it's the money winners, isn't it? But here you've got Minneapolis. Who's winning this Minneapolis trip? So you can see M. Harris and D. Oates, Paul Martyn and Neil John. Yeah, not winning, but Paul has got a story about winning and not winning. So who's S. Baig and YP Kelsey? Is that
that's Kelsey?
That's the famous Kelsey. R. McClellan, you just mentioned, and Jennings. Those are the guys from Blackpool.
Yeah.
Chris Bully and T. Ali. That's Chris Bully's from Bristol as well. I guess T. Ali is as well.
And that was Tariq Ali, who played with Shahid Baig.
Yeah, they were a good team. Manchester.
And that's Titch and Bruce, so Kevin Walker. I've heard of him, and Pete Ockman. And then I know Kevin Fitzgerald. Kevin Fitzgerald, by the way, says yes, he was watching when you won that. Reese wants to know what the turnouts were like at the tournaments.
Oh my goodness, that Birmingham one was massive.
I don't know how many it was, but it was a hell of a lot. Yeah, they were all big. There was hundreds of players.
Dave Zeman loves how fourth is more. I don't know what Albert means by saying this.
Magpie. That's Magpie.
Yeah. I forgot Albert's more than 25. Twinkle toes.
So,
yes.
Dave, I know you've got lots of posters. Which ones? Shall I just go and click through randomly?
I'll tell you when to stop. Yeah.
So I think we're going to go because of my 79 pages. So this is different, isn't it?
Yeah, this is later on. So we'll come back to that. That was these were the Bristol. This was a Bristol tournament, which was a big tournament at the time. The next one is London.
Oops.
Yeah. Right. So all of those.
Look at this London tournament. If you have a look, that's a London 5000, okay, in 1980. So I don't know who's the mathematician here, but I wonder what that would equate to now in 2021.
Well, the prize fund in the last tournament we did, which I ran, was 800 quid.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure you can go down to 12th to 16th and get a tenner. And that was what was going on. We were so excited travelling around the UK, sharing rooms, shacking up to, we were in Brighton, we were in London, Manchester, Birmingham, we were all over the place, playing in these big events. And there were lots and lots of players. Yeah, and we didn't win it. Yeah. We didn't win them all because there were so many good teams. But, we won our share, that's for sure.
Dave Zeman wants to know, is it Wally Osborne in 30th on this list? Just two above W. Osborne. It does say
Wally Osborne.
I don't know.
This famous, it does say W. Osborne. I don't know Wally Osborne, guys, but There's someone called W. Osborne there in 30th. You're right, Dave Z.
I'll tell you what, move on down, Will, to the actual trip to Minneapolis.
Okay, well, let me go and find that. This must be you winning it.
Yeah.
We've got some great pictures of your trophies though first, Dave, because there's some splendid hair.
Yeah.
Can I just say, anybody of a nervous disposition, can they close their eyes at this point? Because look at the hair. My goodness me, Dave.
I mean, just Martyn, your hair's then we look. I think this picture is. Just,
Lovely.
I think I don't know why you took it in the public toilets, Dave, but
behind me, Will, behind me is the poster for the event we were on about at the Top Rank Suite in Birmingham, and that is the poster for that event. Yeah.
Oh, you know, so I can get the date because I do have some of that list of UK championships. And 7th of May. Is it 78? You're saying?
Possibly, could be 77, but 78.
We'll zoom in and have a look a bit later on. And this is what is this? This is actually when you got to America, is it?
This is the event we were going to, which will come on to the prizes, but the prizes were unbelievable. I mean, 2 Corvette Stingrays to start off, and a load of other vehicles, which Martyn will talk through in a minute when you read the list. But
there you go.
Yeah, so what you just need to zoom in on this, Will, because I want people to realise how big the tournament we went to really was. If you look at the second paragraph, but I need my specs for this myself.
I'll zoom you more. Here we go.
There we go. So we as I said, it was the biggest tournament in the States, and we won the biggest tournament in the UK, which is why I'm saying we were very lucky to be where we were at the time. But 4th place was brand new Chevy Chevettes. 3rd place was a pair of pickup trucks with tables, with foosball tables. 2nd prize was Chevrolet vans. Remember, there's 2, there's 1 for each player. And then the big prize of Chevrolet Corvettes, which Wiswell and Furry won, who were fantastic players.
We'll show you a picture of the car in a minute.
So that's it. Right, what's my next up? Foosing and boozing.
It's mind blowing, Will. If that happened now, we'd all be round there like bees on a honeypot. And this was back in '78. Unsustainable, sadly, but at the time.
They had Mike Bowers on the Foosball Talk podcast saying that the money they had in this was more than if you won Wimbledon that year. That's how big Foosball was in the States. You know how many hundreds of pro players they had, but more money than Wimbledon. It's on the front page of Sports Illustrated. It's just phenomenal. So
this is why.
Here's. I'd have to zoom these as well. So this is you guys actually arriving in your limos, picking you up, is it?
Yeah, go on, Dave.
Yeah, that's a picture of us on the plane. There's Chris Bully, Martyn, me, and Pete Ottman sitting in a little row on the plane flying out there. And then
we were met. Yeah, we were met by these stretch limb. Well, they weren't stretch limb. They were big limousines, and we were taken to the Radisson South, which is where the tournament was.
And that hotel was awesome.
It was.
At that point in time, I'd never been out of the country, Will. So I was only 19 and I'd never left this country. And I was picked up by a limo, taken to this 5-star hotel in America, which was, had a swimming pool out open air and indoor and goodness knows what else. It was huge. And, never experienced anything like that. So you can imagine it was all a bit mind blowing.
And this is you in front of the hotel with your security, and this is your luggage as well, I guess, and you had to carry it everywhere.
Probably, yeah.
So we got some pictures of the tournament itself as well, haven't we? We're right to zoom these. Woo!
Yeah, just to show you how many people were there.
And there's brown tops now, not blue tops. Is that right?
Blue tops.
Oh, there's still blue tops there. And the Americans would be able to tell us some of these people for sure. We've lost Martyn for a moment. Are you still there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm still there. Yeah.
We'll see what Martyn comes back.
Hopefully he'll come back in a sec.
He'll be back.
That's just an example of the size of the crowd in the pits. The pits were enormous, and the next picture shows you the size of the pits as well. It's absolutely ridiculous size. You know, if you move, I think the next slide is another picture.
Oh, look at this. This.
So that's a classic picture where you've got Jim Zellick. He's playing. Oh, Martyn, nice to see you back.
I love this picture. This is so cool. So who's the guys on the right?
Well, Jim Zellick is playing at the front on this side. I'm not sure who's on the other side.
Do you hear us, okay, Martyn? When your internet settles down.
Yeah, it's difficult to see.
And so
My connection's going a bit nuts here.
we can hear you fine, Martyn. So just admiring this. It's cool.
Oh, that's right.
Look how many people there are, you know, in the pits. Apparently you have thousands of people around the table for these things as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the biggest tournament I've been to since returning to foosball was the P4P World Championships or whatever it was, and they had about 800 people. But there was a lot more people in this event than that, so it had 1,000 plus.
So we've got some Alina saying, "What an experience! Our amateur mathematicians can fight out how much £5,000 is." Kevin Fitzgerald reckons it's worth 12,000. Dave Zeman got 20,000.
So split the difference.
Reese is telling us about Wally Osborne, the Grange and Ealing.
All right.
League. Right, Dave, let's keep clicking over. What's going to be next? Oh, look at this. Who's this guy then?
Well, Martyn's got to talk about this.
Now listen, as I don't know how to explain it. I guess, without being too dramatic, that I don't know, Tiger Woods to golf, Roger Federer to tennis. I don't know what other people you want to link up to the sports, but Jim Wiswell and Doug Furry were, and this is my opinion, the best ambassadors for foosball there's ever been. Off the playing surface, they were the nicest guys you could ever wish to meet. On the playing surface, Jim and Doug, you really wouldn't want to meet them. They were fantastic, a brilliant partnership. I think either Jim or Doug had already won a Porsche before this event. I can't remember, it was Super Singles, and they'd won a car. And anyway, came to playing off with the Corvette. So remember, I think that's Jim Wiswell. I think it's only 19 or 20 then. They had a titanic struggle in the final, but they overcame. They were sponsored by a company called Hash Jeans, so that was their team name. Back in the day, we all have team names. And Jim had just won a Corvette, and so had Doug. And I was a little bit starstruck, I have to say, even I know it's table football, but unless you play table football, you don't know what I mean. If you play table football, you do know what I mean. And that was a prize picture of me and Jim at the moment, not too far after the prize giving.
Well, there's an even better picture in a second, but just behind him is Cal Rogers, and Cal Rogers was one of the key guys who organised all of the TS events with Lee Peppard. So he was like Mr. TS, almost like Lee Peppard. He was the guy that was running everything, and he was a nice guy too. Good guy.
Oh yeah.
But the next slide shows Doug and Jim. Look, zoom in.
Yeah. Oh wow! And this is the prizes you won, Martyn, back to Bristol, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, there I am with my TS shirt, looking at a complete pot, and but there's Jim and Doug. And if you talk to any American foosball now or in the past, Wiswell and Furry will come off their lips because they were the best on and off the table, and that was them holding their trophies, and underneath is what they won.
Oops.
And there it is. Can you imagine playing for one of those each?
Wow.
Plus
a Corvette Stingray.
Yeah. Plus 20 grand.
Oh, plus the money.
In 1978 or 77. Yeah.
And I mean, those of you who listen to Foos Talk Live, they talk a lot about Jim Wiswell, and they talk a lot about Furry as well, and how Wiswell apparently had the most terrifying pull shot the world has ever seen.
Oh, definitely.
He did, yeah.
He's sadly not here. He's missed by a lot of people. He's not around anymore. But Doug is. Doug's still.
Doug Ferry's still going. For those of you who've seen the Foosballers movie, Doug Ferry turns up in that, and Wiswell, of course, talks about it. They think they had a best 5 players of the 70s, and they kind of put Wiswell at number 1, and Ferry
Not
probably.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What's our next picture then? This is gonna. What is this? We've got some other faces I recognise now.
You can recognise Titch and Bruce there.
Look at those people. Look at Titch and Bruce.
I've been speaking to Titch, by the way, for those of you. I had a chat with Titch the other day. He's well. He's got a new place over in Boston Manor on the Piccadilly line. Might have some tornadoes in it as well. So he's getting it set up at the moment. But I am in touch, and I'm trying to get him on the show like this as well at some point. But look at this picture. And look, who are the other guys? I know
Irish
Martyn.
guys. The Irish guys.
That's JJ Nolan above my head there.
JJ Nolan also had a good pull kick, but without the dink.
Yeah, he didn't have a dink. He had and that's what got him to the States as well. And I don't know the guy to his left. But, that was the Irish contingent. He probably did.
He probably did. Yeah. And then there's another picture at the bottom here. So this is the same, just like the same pic.
Yeah.
You've done the swap. Martyn's taking the picture now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Pictures of the 70s. And Bruce. So, right.
There are actually lots more pictures.
Sorry. What's happened? Oh, this is a lovely picture. Is this in America as well?
Yeah, this is probably Chicago, when we went to Chicago. I think Titch is at the front here on the left. Mehdi, the Iranian guy that Martyn was talking about with the pull shot, is in the back. And I'm playing opposite Titch with Kevin Ferris, the guy from Bath that Martyn dinked for the final meet ball.
Is this the same trip where you went to Chicago as well?
This is the Chicago trip, yeah.
This is a different trip.
You played in 2 tournaments, not just 1.
I played in 3.
Well, I won 2 and Dave won 3. And we need to cover the one that he played without me. If you've got 5 minutes when it comes up. Yeah, so we
Is it now, Dave, or is it later on?
Well, whenever. I mean, what happened was, we'll do it now. What happened was, after a few years of playing, because I mean, after this, Martyn will confirm this. We basically went back after that first Minneapolis tournament. We both bought tables. We stuck them in our bedroom, and we played 2 hours a night every night, and then we went out to play. So we practiced for 2 hours, and we went out to a pub called the Black Lion in Whitchurch in Bristol. Kev Fitzgerald might remember this. And we used to play all night there. And it had 2 TS tables, and literally you put your 50p down, it was winner stays on, and if you lost, you were not coming on again that night. There was so many players. And so, the whole TS scene took off following that first Minneapolis trip. And we had all these tournaments all around the country and goodness knows what. And in the end, we had one at the Belfry where it was for this Chicago trip. And what happened was Martyn, I think, was playing with Chris Bully, weren't you, Mark?
No, I was playing with Pete Ottman. You missed out the second tournament, which we played after all that practice, which we travelled to Manchester. And a TS pro called Kyle Eady said everybody was like fearing us. We'd almost won it as soon as we got in there because we were playing so well. And we won a trip to Chicago for a $100,000 tournament. And I got to say, that was our easiest tournament ever. And subsequent to that, there was the next year there was another trip. Pete, I started playing with Pete Ottman for a while, and Dave like this. We sort of mixed it up a little bit. Pete and I got sponsorships. Remember Dave from Slazenger, and they gave us entrance fees. We had the jumpers, the shirts, and they paid our entry fees. And Dave played this tournament in the Belfry with Mehdi, which Dave would now explain how he single-handedly got a trip to the States out of it.
Yeah, it was a funny event that because I mean, fantastic event at the Belfry in Birmingham, great venue. And what happened was I was playing with Mehdi because he used to play with Kev Ferris, and they'd mixed it up. And Kev Ferris was now playing with Kev Walker from Bristol. A lot of people will know Kev Walker. So Kev Walker was at the front, Kev Ferris was at the back. Mehdi was playing up front with me. But what I didn't know was they'd secretly done a deal that if they could qualify, they were going to let Kev Ferris and Kev Walker win because two of them would get free trips, and then they would split it between three of them to pay for the third one to go. So we were playing in probably the latter stages of the actual event, and probably semi-finals or something. And it was me and Mehdi. I was playing at the back, Mehdi at the front, obviously. Kev Ferris and Kev Walker. And they'd done this deal, and I didn't know. And I kept wondering what was going on because Mehdi kept losing the ball to Kev Ferris at the front. Every time he got at the front, he'd accidentally scuff it, and the ball would go to Kev Ferris. But what was happening was he was trying to lose so that they would win the trip, and we wouldn't win the trip. And they would then, have two free places, and they would split the place and pay for Mehdi to go, sort of thing. So that I realised after one game or so when we were getting beaten, I realised what was going on. I said to Mehdi, "What the hell is going on?" And they sort of said, "Well, we're gonna win this trip." So it made me so angry that I just sort of got very hyper and down. And I just blocked Kev Walker. Could never score on me anyway, hardly. So I blocked Kev Walker to death. He just couldn't score. And I banked it from the back. And in the final game, I scored all 5 goals from the back because Mehdi just turned it over. And we still won because I scored all 5 from the back. And they were absolutely gutted.
Well, and then Mehdi had to go to America with you, and you had to play with him, even though he tried to throw the game against you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they had to pay for 2 trips instead of 1. So they did go, but they had to pay for the 2 trips instead of just Mehdi's.
It's a true story, Will. And Reece was asking how big those tournaments were. Right? In digging up all the old stuff when we formed an association, I've got a receipt, Dave. I don't know if you remember, but we ran a coach trip from the Hippodrome to the Belfry for that event. And that was just from our contingent, for the coach load of players.
Was Kev was Kev Fitzgerald there?
Well, he'll tell us, no doubt, in a minute.
Kev Fitzgerald, you can tell us if you were there. Got a greeting from Zach Foreman watching in France. Hello, Zach. Nice to see you.
Hi, Zach.
Reece enjoyed that story. Kevin Fitzgerald says Space Invaders. I don't know what.
Yeah, Space Invaders is what killed it. We'll come on to that.
Yeah.
What's our next picture going to be? Let's find out. Ooh, what is this?
Right. Well, let me just say one thing before Martyn covers most of it. Go to the top right. That's it. Zoom in on that top right one, and on the very right, next to Martyn Harris's shoulder, is a young Eddie Edwards.
Oh my goodness me!
Can I just say something? That picture was sent to me by Eddie, because back in the day, Eddie, and when you speak to Eddie, he'll tell you. Eddie said, and I'll try and do the accent. Oh, I say, you guys from Bristol, you were no, okay, that was rubbish. But he said we used to look up to you, and you used to come in, and Eddie said he got that picture taken with us just so that he could be in the picture with us with Mehdi and Ferris. And honestly, and I keep saying, "Oh, shut up, Eddie." And he said, "No, it's true. So yeah, all those pictures of that little collage were sent to me from Eddie.
I'm sorry, I'm like, yeah. So that's Eddie. Eddie will probably be watching this on catch up about, because he'll message me and say, "When was the show? I thought it was at 9 p.m." He does. Hi, Eddie. So. So all 6 of those pictures were Eddie's pictures. And they're all a bit of a jumble. They're all over the place. So I just sort of stick them all on one. So I understand Eddie was a bit of a TS groupie.
Yes, yeah, he was. but he was a good guy, just like he is now, and really funny.
Alina's saying she goes to put the kids to bed. So lovely to see you on the table.
Yeah.
Actually, hang on, Alina. Yeah, well, we'll have to come back to Alina in a minute. Yeah.
We'll tell Alina when there's more of you later, so you've got to watch it on catch up on YouTube or Facebook later. Shall I jump to the next one then? Find out what we do. This is what's going on here, Martyn?
Right. First of all, that's for people of a nervous disposition. The top one was a TS promo shot they did of me, and they showed. But the important picture is the picture on the bottom, Will. If you want to zoom into that. So I was always trying to refine my pull kick. And we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have anything. So I thought I'd take every opportunity I could to try and get tips from the best. So this is just an overhead shot. This is just an example. I was working on my stance at the time, and where to set the ball up. You can see he's setting it up roughly where I set it up now. This is 1978, 79 in America. But it goes to show the length of, to try and continually increase our game. So that was just a blast down memory lane, really. Subsequent to that, I was emailing a pool kicker in America called Thor Donovan. I don't know if you've heard of him. And he gave me some tips. But we were constantly trying to, as you do when you play golf, you make slight adjustments, don't you? Where do I stand? Where does the ball go? What do I do? And that was just a little picture I throw in just as a reminder of how passionate Dave and I were in trying to, well, do the best that we could.
And you were. That's the cool thing.
Yeah,
Thor Donovan, by the way, he's not just a pull kicker. He's, I think, I don't know about the TS era, but he's one of the, if not the best pull kick ever, at least in the top three.
Well, now you know why I was emailing him and talking to him.
Yeah, I've got to say, Thor there were quite a few. When we went to America, we saw loads of Yanks who were very good at pull kicks. Yeah, and Thor Donovan was one of them, and Larry Falk, Jim Zellick. There was a whole load of good pull kickers, and they all had super fast, super hard longs. But I have to say, they never had the dink Martyn had. Martyn's dink still, it was a horrible thing, and it still destroyed them because the way he launches it sort of moves at the same way as if he's doing a lot, and it comes round the ball and past the ball, and the man comes past the ball, but the ball still goes in super tight to that post, super tight. So,
how many dinks did you have, Martyn?
Well, if you think of the pull kick, when that guy he's set up, from that point on, you've got so many variations. You've got the cut, which is basically pull the man up and down and cut it from a standing position. Then you've got the whip, where you pull the ball towards you, but still on the same man. It's a bit like a pull shot, and you can whip it into short, middle, and long. And then you've got obviously the pull kick, which is short, middle, and long, or a variation. And then you've got the dink. And as David taught you, I learned the long dink, which is incredibly hard. The little dinks, I never bothered to learn because I could always do them. But the long dink from the position and long dink it to the far post. I remember we beat Jet and Charlie at the Flotel with it. Do you remember, Dave?
No, I remember.
And Charlie said afterwards, he said, "Where did you learn to do that?" He had no idea how to stop it, but it took a while to learn that one.
So you're not going to the near corner. It's like I think there's a back door. You're drifting. You can see my little.
Drifting it to the far corner.
Nasty.
So the near side dink is very good, but if you lock your man onto the near side dink to stop me doing that, which I've never practiced and I can do it now, then you've got all the rest of the goal open to you, and there are so many variations. That's why I love the shot. I wouldn't
There's
say
a guy playing now. You might have come across Man Arslan playing in Manchester. Man is an absolutely phenomenal player, and I'm sure he'll be in Team GB before too long. And my first time I played Man, he wrecked me with a pull kick, and it was a slow dink and a fast dink. And I hadn't sort of thought that dinks had got different speeds, but I was kind of jump the wrong way because you're chasing them.
Yeah. The only thing I would say against any kick shots is the fact when you rely on two players to actually do the shot, it's always going to be slightly less successful than, say, a pool shooter or a snake shooter, because of the fact that it's a mechanical shot. So you have to factor that in when it comes to the success, not only here but over in the States, of how many pool kicks have won a tournament. Although I did see Tony Spreaderman's pool kick the other day, and Tony's pool kick is pretty fast, pretty long, and pretty hot.
We've talked a bit we're chatting this week, the snake shot and so on. But one of the things you'll find now is no one can block a pole kick because no one's ever seen them because people see snakes too much these days. So if you, as and when you come back, Martyn, it'll be just like picking apples in a barrel. No one will know what to do.
Well, hardly will. I don't think so, but yeah, you are right.
This is a lovely picture. Who's in this one then?
Rob Davey and Bruce. Both of these guys are true natural talents, aren't they? They were naturally talented players, naturally talented. And I mean, it's just, I put that in just so you can see what, they were like in those days. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love this picture. And we've talked. Tell us about, I know Rob's got some pictures about Rob later. Actually, we'll talk a bit about what his game was like. What was Bruce's game like when you were playing him?
He was awesome at the back. He was awesome, really good goalie. I mean, he could back it. He was like a brick shit house. He was awesome.
I'm going to go back. There's one picture you had. I'm going to find it, which is tell us a bit about the BTSA, the British Table Soccer Association, and we've got the list of all the members. See if I can find it. What was this? And here's the members list.
I think this is really important. When Dave and I won the big trip to the States for the Corvettes, and before we won the second trip to Chicago, we were asked to form an association. Well, a bit like the BFA is now. We were the forerunners of the BFA. I was the treasurer, and what you're seeing there, that is it there. And this was our membership list. And I rib Paul from every time I see him, but you will see on there, member number 1 of the BTSA, British Table Soccer Association, P.A. Martyn. He paid £3 on what's that? 16th of January, 79.
Yeah, 16th. Look at that.
I'm still holding on to it, Paul. If ever you want that £3 back.
By the way, I do have. I put this in Google Drive, so folks, afterwards I can send you the link if you want to go through these real foosball nerds. I know most of you are.
But if you run down the list, you'll see Tom and Brian. There they are. BA. It says Harris, but that should be Harms and Tom Lawley.
So that's Brian Harms and Tom Lawler. Chris Bully. C.A. Protopapa.
He was a good player, Chris Protopapa. And then the committee members.
I like the way they're offset for stationery. Rob Davey. Alan Oates, that's your brother Dave.
Yeah, famous Al, yeah.
It is Gary Lee, who...
Mike.
Yeah, Gary Lee, the colour guy.
Explain Gary Lee. He was a fantastic player.
He was. He had an incredible...
I don't know what to say.
Backpin. From Jamaica,
but his attitude, I guess he would never give up. Never give up. The beads of sweat would pour off his face, and if you ever beat Gary Lee, you knew you'd earned it because he was a great player.
For the Brighouse nerds out there, because there are some of the guys from the Caribbean who were on the Brighouse scene as well. I don't know if any of these names are Brighouse players or if TS was completely separate. Paul Martyn was doing Brighouse. Kevin Fitzgerald, there you go.
Kev Fitzgerald's on there, yeah.
There you go, Kevin. There's McClellan, you mentioned. Kevin Walker.
Just a quick shout out to Tony Iqbal there. I mean, what a player he was.
Tell us about Tony Iqbal.
There he is, underneath Gary.
Yeah. How was Tony's game in the 70s?
Oh, I don't know what it was like back in the TS days, but he had this. Dave, you were talking about a 5-bar, the sweetest brush 5-bar pass. And Tony's was the best I'd ever seen. in the modern day era. Under tornado, I don't know how he did it. He tried to teach me when I started to come back on the scene. I couldn't get anywhere near it. It was beautiful. Anybody who knows Tanya's game will agree with me.
When Rob Affer's interviewed, and they say, who are your influences? Obviously, apart from Martyn Harris and Dave Oates, he talks about Tani Iqbal.
Fantastic player.
The first person who really did. Dave Oates there, Martyn Harris, Kevin Walker, Pete Ockman you've mentioned.
That was a 6 committee members. Can you see?
Oh, there you go. Bristol takeover.
Yeah.
And then Neil John there. That's Kelsey, I know. Blonky Baines, that must be.
Blonky Baines, yeah.
Satpal Kang. Satpal Kang had an incredible whip. He used to do a whip that was near post, middle or long, but always from the end man, and it was always just a whip.
Wow. This is cool. We've seen that one before. So I will share the link, guys, later on if you want us to go and like nerd out on this stuff. Kevin Fitzgerald is remembering Gary Lee. Paul Martin says Bruce never practiced, just did it for fun. Right, what have I got? Have we kind of? Is that it of our? No, I've got more, haven't I?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We've got some more here. So there we go. So this is another. This is Chris Bully as well. Yeah. Altman as well. Come on, camera. And then, it's our marketing picky. Bristol Coin. So Bristol Coin, they were the.
This was interesting because they asked Dave and I, and they actually asked Pete and Chris to go around the pubs. It was every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I've got the list. I've got the list of the pubs, what duties we had to do, and basically got in there, clean the table, put pledge on the bars. Remember that, Dave? Pledge.
Pledge.
And then challenge everybody to beat us. And this went through November, December '78, break for Christmas, and then January and February. And we were very rarely beaten, but we were beaten by some young upstart called Rob Davey, who tracked us on 2 pubs, and we played him, and we knew then it was going to be a talent. But anyway, that's what we did. I mean, some of the pubs were very nice to go to. Some of the pubs you couldn't wait to get out. But that's how big the game was. There was, they flooded Bristol there with tons of players.
A few comments. Neil John, Paul. He was your doubles partner, Paul. He still is your doubles partner. And Reese was going to play with Tanny. There you go. What's our next picture? We've got this. This is another trip to the US, is it? Or Foos News? What's this, Dave?
Well, no. Foos News is a publication. I don't know if Dave, if you've kept all yours, but Foos News was a publication, and this was a special one that they did in 79, 80. And if you zoom in on the map, this kind of shows you how big the tour was and what countries they went to and who and these are all massive trips to the States. And there's little stars over the left-hand side in America, but you can see the countries in Europe and Great Britain and Ireland.
And a lot of these scenes got seeded. I know the Swiss had loads of great players who carried on. Of course, the Germans, of course, the Belgians and the Luxembourg. Who knew that Norway had a TS scene back in the late 70s? Because Norway's not got foosball at the moment.
No.
Ken Allwell, who's just on Foos Talk Live recently, there's a picture of him. Cool. Yeah, these Foos News kind of appear on Facebook quite a bit.
Yeah, they were great. They told you everything because there was no internet, so they told you everything about everything to do with Foos, obviously. So it was really popular paper, basically.
Yeah.
Irish Championship.
Oh, we put this in for the Irish guys because, and Martyn will cover why as well in a minute because he actually went to this. But the Irish scene and the Bristol scene were really close all the time because of so close to get there, easy to get there, and we knew all the Irish guys and they knew us, and we had a great relationship. And this is one where Martyn went to play. I think with Rob Davey won it, Mark.
Yeah, that's true. If you zoom in, if you can, on the bottom left, you'll see that there were 2 events going on. One of the events was Super Doubles, which was a trip to the States. And the other one was Open Doubles, which Rob and I thought we'd go and chance our arm and see how we could get on, which we actually won. But yeah, that was just another example of the TS, putting money into the game.
And who were the Irish players? Who was playing in those days over in Ireland? Who are your big sort of, not rivals, but the big players?
Oh, Dave, you'll have to help me out. I mean, JJ Nolan, obviously.
It was JJ and his partner. But you had all of the sort of TS Irish players. And the next picture, if you move to it, is a picture of that's Martyn with Rob winning that.
Back in the day, me and Rob and the guy. Was that Luke Mertens, wasn't it?
That's Luke Mertens from Belgium, and he was the guy who had the European tournament soccer distributorship. So he like distributed all the tables in Europe, not the UK, and that's why he was in Ireland. I think he had that there as well. I suspect.
You got another picture here. Is this the same? This is the same event as well, is it?
Yeah. Now that's another great pool kicker. That's Jim Zellick. He was over from the States running the tournament as well, and we won a DYP. Me and I don't know this guy's name, but that was a DYP. So we won that as well. Well, I did.
Sometimes we have some of the Irish guys with us, but none of them are with us today. So,
Jim Zellick, very good player, very good player. And that trip to America, but Will, I've got to say, the trip to America, Dave knows this story. It was my car was held together by string. I turned up at Rob's place. His dad said, you can't go to the ferry in that because the exhaust was falling off. So he was underneath the back, tying it up with a coat hanger. We got to Dunleary, Holyhead to Dunleary ferry, which is across the most treacherous stretch of water sometimes. And Rob was sick as a parrot, and everybody was throwing up. And I managed to get Rob to the front of the ferry and almost lash him to the front because I thought he was going to pass out. It was the most terrible journey, but memorable, I suppose, in that respect. I can't remember a lot more else about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Irish players of that day, Will, was people like Des O'Rourke, Vincent Rankin with an incredible fast pull kick, Vinnie Rankin.
Yeah, true, not a good pull kicker.
You know, but there was a load of them, a whole load of them. They were great. You know, Dave Lawler, fantastic people.
Des came. We did the European Tornado Open in 2019. 250 people. A lot of you guys were there. It was incredible. Des O'Rourke came over for that and took second place in senior doubles, if I remember. With Mike Cohen.
Brian Connor. We got a picture of Brian Connor later as well. There's all sorts of good players, definitely.
And now, I mean, there's still a scene there. It's sort of Norman, Dave Lawler, and Louise Herring, and so on.
Yeah,
we're still going. Oh
yeah, we still go and play with them. The great people.
Yeah.
Are we gonna? Yes, 20-year gap. So that have we done? What else do we before we do the next bit? It's just the most amazing adventure. I want to just wind back to. We started with Martyn on the Lilliput table in the youth centre, and you've just gone to America 3 times. You've been UK champions twice together, and once Dave with Mehdi as well.
No, I wasn't UK champion then. I just got a slot. We just got the last slot.
You were UK champions once in Birmingham, once in Manchester.
Yeah.
The second one when you just destroyed everyone.
Yeah.
You've been sponsored by Slazenger. You've been on not Blue Peter but Magpie. You've just been this amazing journey. What then happened? When did it stop? Because I know it went away. How quickly did it die in the UK?
Quick.
How did it fade away?
It was because of Kev Fitzgerald put it up, Space Invaders. So in came all the video games, Space Invaders, Missile Command, Galaxian. I can remember Martyn was hooked on Galaxian. He was bloody good.
I was. I was pretty tasty, wasn't I, Dave? One Galaxian.
He was really tasty. Basically.
It killed it off, didn't it? Yeah, it just killed it off. Killed it off here, killed it off in the States, really. Pretty much everywhere.
This was a huge part of your life. And then what did you do? Did you not play from 1980 until the late 90s? Well,
what happened was in this 20-year gap, I mean, obviously, we'd started to develop careers. I had a job. I was trying to move on in my job. And I got married, Martyn would get married. So, all those things started getting in the way of playing table football. There wasn't any table football scene anymore because of the fact TS had died. So we didn't really play a lot. But what we did do is we discovered skiing, didn't we, Mark? And we actually did skiing every year together. And honestly, the first skiing holiday that me and Martyn ever went on in a place called Westendorf in Austria, to this day, I don't know how we survived it. It was the funniest, the most drunken,
very
hilarious.
Very funny.
So we just did a lot of skiing basically for 20 years.
And Foosball was the thing you'd done, and it had gone, and that was in the past. And if you weren't looking for it, you weren't wanting it, you didn't have tables, it just gone.
Yeah, and then what happened was after 20 years, Martyn might not know this, but this is what happened to me, and I can't remember. He can fill in the gaps as to whether or not what I think is right. But I was going to see my second wife. I hadn't married her then. I was going to see her in Portsmouth because she lived in Portsmouth. And on the way down, and if Boris is watching, he'll know this, or Rob Ather, I stopped at a pub for a drink to like break the journey. And in that pub was a table football tournament going on. And there was a guy called Dave Perrott, a little kid who came to play me called Rob Ather, who was about 12, and his dad. And I didn't know any of them then. They didn't know me, never met them before. And I thought, bloody hell, what's this? Some table football going on in here? I can't believe it. Is that still a thing? I thought. and so I went in there and I played Rob Ather, the little boy, on the table, and he gave me this funny look because suddenly he suddenly realised I could play. and I thought, bloody hell, I gave him an even funnier look because I thought, Christ, he's good for 12. So we had this like funny game with Ather, and we were both thinking, Jesus Christ, I was thinking he's good, and I think Rob was thinking, well, who's this guy who's just walked in? How can he be that good?
And you're meaning to drive to go and see your girlfriend, and you just stopped off for a pint.
Yeah,
although non-alcoholic beer in those days, of course.
Of course.
I never knew that story, Dave.
That's what happened. And then when I came back, the internet was just starting. And I started looking it up on the internet. And my wife, who's the long-suffering Foos widow, she made the big mistake because it was at that point that she restored my blue top table, which had rusted rods. It was in the garage. It had been rotting away. And she helped me restore it. And I think I got in touch with you, Martyn, and we then started playing, didn't we?
You did. I couldn't believe it. This excited nutcase rang me up and said, it's back. But, there's a scene. People are playing table football again. And I was really pleased. I could hardly believe it.
Go back one. Go back one, Will. Go back one first.
What, the words? This one?
This one, because this is where we first made our comeback. And Dave Zeman and Reese will well remember this.
They will.
This was the Pelican at Stroud. And you can see the pictures of Reese and Dave Zeman here. This was the first tournament we ever came back to play, and we were beaten in the final by Dave Zeman and Reese. And then I think that to go off and be interviewed. It was
Edwina Curry.
Edwina Curry.
Dave and Reese were watching, hopefully. So tell us the story about what you and Edwina Curry.
I'll tell you a little story about that. We had to double dip Dave and Reese in the final to win that tournament. And we actually beat them in the first set. And I think a few people were hollering and whooping. And we were very much firmly reminded that it wasn't over. We had to play them again, which quite likely they won. But I do remember that tournament very well. And I think Edwina Curry was either meant to turn up but anyway, I think Dave Zeman gave the interview or talked to her in his car on the way back. Something happened, but anyway, that was the booby prize. You had to win that. But talk to, as Dave says, mixed feelings. Talk to Edwina Curry live on the radio after that event. But what a great event, and kudos and props to Jeff Bryce as well. What a great guy.
This is on this is Blocky Foot Garlando Jeff Bryce tournament, is it?
Yeah.
And had you played on Garlandos, or you were just learning how to play on them because they're very different to TS?
Well, what happened was when we came back to play, we played in the Bath scene because there was nothing in Bristol. So we went to the Hat and Feather in Bath, and this is where the beautiful Anna Webber and Emma Webber come in, because we were playing them in the Hat and Feather in Bath, and it was all on Blocky Foot Garlando, and that's why we went to the Pelican and played on Blocky Foot Garlando.
Which is then I jumped ahead a bit, but then that's this is that tournament then, is it?
Oh no, this is Oxford 1. Albert Rees, are you watching this? Because this was epic. This is one of my favourite booth pictures of all time, and it wasn't just because we won. Look at the little guy at the end with a little white cap on. Well, recognise this little guy?
Yeah, we know him.
It's Rob Ather. And my goodness, look how much I was sweating in that bloody game then. That was Oxford 1. It was Father's Day, I remember. My son had bought me that white glove that you could see me wearing. Oxford then went on to run several other tournaments afterwards, but this was the very first. And to meet Albert and Rees in the final, with Rob Ather watching, well, it's a great picture. And
Rees will remember this because Martyn did almost the same to Rees as he did to Kev Ferris.
Oh,
you know, for some of the winning shots or in the final game, you know,
That's what Rees remembers.
Rees knew that Martyn was going to dink him. He knew Martyn was going to dink him, but the way Martyn did his dink, he couldn't help but like just twitch, and he lifted his man just like that millimetre. Like he was still blocking the dink, but just lifted it a millimetre, and Martyn's dink used to just pop in behind it.
Sorry, Rees, but you got your own back later.
Winning the tournament with quite a bit of sweat there, Martyn.
Hang on a minute. Why do those two look like they just walked in and not played a game? And I look as though I've been on the mines for about an hour.
It's nice to see Dan Gallen. Whatever happened to Dan Gallen?
Oh, Dan's still out there. Yeah, he's still on the forum. Martyn, if we're going to have a chat on the forum, you'll find Dan Gallen still watching it. I've got his email address somewhere if you want to get in touch with him.
Well, Foos is in his blood as well, and he needs to stay around.
Rees remembers that dink, Martyn. That's all he's got to say.
I didn't know. Oh, sorry, Rees. I think you might have moved a little bit. Anyway,
that's why he didn't want to swap.
Gave me a lot of credit for that dink, and it worked very well. But I need to give him a boost. His shots from the back and saving from Albert, and Albert had a wicked push kick. Got us over the line, but that was a pretty tough game, wasn't it, Dave? That was,
hell of a tough game. Yeah.
It was, but it was our first sort of we're back event, and very memorable.
So this is Oxford 1. We're kind of like early 2000 or 2004, are we? 2003.
I think it's a bit earlier than that. I think 2003 too. Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
And this is when the Oxford students are organising it, and it's sort of it's an Oxford University scene kind of thing, and then people travelling around.
Well, they had a great scene. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cambridge did it as well, and then we had Warwick, and it was a big university scene on at that time. Lots of Garlando tournaments.
Albert says it's 2001.
Right, there you go.
I do want to, one of these shows, I want to get kind of like, I met a guy who'd been at Oxford who went, oh, you play table football, do you know Worthington? So I want to get Worthington, someone from that time, or Dan Gallen to come and tell us about what it's like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and see where our pictures take us next. So we've got this. Oh, this is your...
Well, that is it. I don't keep many trophies. Well, I do, to be fair. I've never thrown a trophy out. Most of them are in the loft. But I do keep that one, actually, in my office. As well as the one that Dave and I won.
It might have been 2000, Albert.
Probably was 2000, wasn't it? Well, what we got next? Now, what... I know who this is. Quiz question, folks out there watching. Who knows who the guy with the gold shirt is? Let's see who gets it first. Tell us, what were you doing, guys? What was this tournament all about?
Well, this was me, really. So this was just for a laugh. I just put this in because it was a bit of fun with Pete and Chris Altman. So basically, WKD, the drinks company, announced the Pub Olympics one year as a promotional event, and they had, you had to play table football, pool, and darts. So, and it was circulated amongst all loads of pubs, and of course we decided to enter it. So I was playing pool, Pete Altman was playing darts, and Chris Bully was playing table football. Because we just picked who was the best at whatever. And so we entered as a team, and we went to regional events, and we won them because we always won the table football, as you can imagine. It was like a banker. There was absolutely nobody who could ever beat us at table football, and we only had to win either the darts or the pool to get the 2 out of 3. So we won the regional events, and then we went to a big finals again in Birmingham again, where Bobby George was the guy who was presenting the prizes to the winner, and it was all filmed by WKD.
And Paul Martyn gets to win a bottle of WKD recently.
Well done, Paul.
Yeah,
No,
he was a big darts player at the time. And what happened was we actually won the event. It was ridiculous. I won my game of pool, which is quite incredible, and Chris Bully won the football, and we won the event. And we won a year's supply of WKD and 100 quid.
excellent.
Wow. So then we're starting to get these kind of pictures going. Tell us, who are these people here, and what was this scene? What was going on here?
Go on, Mark.
Well, this is so we've got. That's not our tournament, is it? Or maybe it is. I don't know quite what event that is and why we're all holding the trophies, but this is at the Mighty Bush, the legendary Bristol base, never to be forgotten, home of the Bristol Foosball at the time. And from left to right, I think we've got Mike Anston, Joe Hamilton, Dave Barham, Dave Oates, Mike Fowler, and myself. And not quite sure what the trophies are. Maybe we just got back.
I think it's after the first event at the Bush, Martyn, and we just took a picture. Yeah, in the corner bit there where we used to play.
Tell us a bit about Mike Fowler, because he's not a guy from the TS days, he's not from the Brighouse days, but he's an important person in our UK table football history. I know I think recently. So
yeah, I think we really do need to. Mike sadly is not here anymore. I went to his funeral. It's very sad, very unexpected. But Mike Fowler had foosball running in his veins. When Dave and I and 4 other people started the BTSA, and now you're the chairman of the BFA, there was another association in the middle, wasn't there, Dave, called the BT?
Yeah. BTFA.
BTFA, which Mike Fowler was quite a big noise in. And this is before we even knew him. So there's kind of been 3 associations. And Mike Fowler came back, so to speak, after a sabbatical like Dave and I. And even though he lived in Colford over the bridge, it took him an hour to get here and an hour to get home. He was there every Thursday. Got to know us. We became friends. We played tournaments together. In fact, Mike and I actually won a tornado tournament together. And such a lovely guy, such a great snake shooter. And he would talk to anybody. He would encourage anybody. As we would. New players would come to the Bush, but Mike Fowler would say, have you tried this? Look at this. And a great loss, like Rob Davey. Sadly and sorely missed.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be talk about him, because he's someone I don't know much about. So it's great. He really important role in getting table football going. And you guys are playing on Tornado, so somehow Tornado's turned up in the middle of this all. No more.
Well, this is when I had a sudden rush of blood to the head, a bit like you have, Will. We do silly things in life, and I went and decided to start Foos for Fun, which was a table football company, and I bought a container load of Tornadoes and shipped them over from the States with Rob Davey helping me. Martyn was, just so busy building his business, his financial services business, that obviously didn't have the time to get involved. But we set up Foos for Fun, and we imported a whole container load of tables, and we basically brought in these tables so we could keep the table football scene alive on Tornado. That's why Tornado and all the tournaments happened over the next few years, which we'll come on to. But I actually think the Bush had a Tornado from somebody else. But it was gave us the inspiration to buy Tornado.
Yeah, I think it did, Dave. I think it wasn't your table, was it? It was there.
No, it wasn't.
And we've got to give props to Boris, because Boris actually found the Bush for us. And if you're watching Boris, I heard you're not very well, but hope you're on the mend. But he was the one. I was reading the Brit Foos thread the other day, and it was Boris who actually found the Bush for us, and it turned into sort of a legendary Bristol haunt.
Oh, well, I'm gonna shout out. I'm really pleased we've got someone. Who's come to watch?
Oh my goodness, Alex!
Legend.
Oh man!
Did your ears burn when the guys talked about you earlier? Well, maybe that was before. I can't remember we talked about Alex. Maybe that was before we did the show. I mean, this is it's great. Alex is there. The talent that you guys had kicking around in Bristol, because you've got Dave Barham, Joe Hamilton, Mike Amston, all coming off sort of Jeff Bryce type sixth form college playing on Garlando's scenes, and suddenly they go to a pub and they find you guys and they find Tornado. So they're just, the influence for this, how many of those Team GB caps still, Joe and Mike and Dave probably all playing Team GB still, because they got to meet you guys. Fantastic.
Yeah. But we also had Alex and John Chevelton come in there regularly, as Alex will know, and we also had John May come in there regularly, who lived in Bristol.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. So, we had some massive talent come into this place. And we even had a Malaysian guy and his girlfriend who went to university in Bristol Uni so they could play table football at the Bush.
I'll find out. Because the Malaysians are dead good. Those guys all went back from playing with you. Malaysia had such a hot scene in the mid-2000s, probably because the people it was an amazing place. And then it went on and sort of infected the rest of Asia. And Asia's got great players coming from Malaysia. And some of the Malaysians are in Ireland as well. So it's sort of funny how the virus transmits.
I got to mention Joe Hamilton. When we saw him first, this guy, he'd just been playing five-a-side football. And he was still in his kit. And he walked to the table, he said, "Hi, my name's Joe Hamilton." And, he's a cheeky chap, isn't he? And it didn't take us long to realise that he liked table football as well. And look what happened to Joe. Joe's career went nuts. And you could argue that it all started at the Bush.
World champion, multi-table world champion. We got a few more props for Mike Fowler.
Yeah,
Mr. Smith.
Albert.
He taught my son. Mike Fowler. Well. Yeah, Mike Fowler taught my son the snake.
He taught me the snake as well.
We've got all the comeback questions now coming, Martyn. Reese wants to know when you're coming back. Reese wants to know when Alex is coming back. I think we all want to know when we're all coming back, guys. Pandemic going on.
Well,
21st of June. See you then. Captain Snaky Alex as well.
I've first of all, I've never left. I've never left. If you get foosball in your blood, and you'll know, anybody who's watching this who plays, it never leaves you. Reese, you've been out for a few years, for one reason or another, and me too. But I'm not going anywhere. My Tornado is still up in the lounge. My Garlando is still up in the garage, which I bought from Joe Budby, and I've got a tournament of soccer, which you never know might make a recurrence. But no, it never leaves you. And I think after this break that we've had from COVID, I think it's on the agenda. I'd love to come back and love to see you guys again. We're all getting older, and
we're all going to not move. We're not going to okay. What's our next picture? We've got this is Bristol Opens 2003. Are you organising these, Dave? Martyn, who's Mike Fowler, Martyn and Mike.
Yeah, Martyn organises everything at the Bush. He did a great job. He really promoted the bush, and it was a fantastic job he did. So this was the first Open that we held at the bush, and it's just really for history that we just had this first tornado at the bush. And then if you go to the next slide, we had the next one, the Bush Open 2, and Alex Shuffleton did that poster.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Alex Shuffleton did that poster for me. Yeah.
Well, I love it.
I love it. So this is Lisa 2003, is that right? Can't remember.
And
This
some,
one's probably
some of,
2004.
and if you read some of the comments on the Breakthroughs thread, the thing is, we run that tournament. We didn't really run it for our benefit. In fact, if we won anything, that was a bonus. But we run those two bush tournaments just to have fun, to get a lot of people there, so that they would come back, which they did. I remember Dave Carter putting something on the Breakthroughs thing on it the other day, saying he was gonna miss all these things because he had to be at the bush tournament, and that was the point. The point was everybody was going to have a bit of fun. You play hard on the table, but there's all the chat and the banter, and just really good days. And people, that's why we run the tournaments. In fact, we were going to other tournaments, and we felt it was our job to, to pay back really, because everybody else was doing it. We should do it, and we did.
I'm thinking how many people accompany, because it, as we all know, it needs someone to organise it. And this is Will's preachy bit, guys. As we get foosball going after the pandemic, it needs us, the people who know how to play it, to be the seeds to kind of go out locally and find it and make it happen, just like Martyn and Dave were doing in 2003, so that when Joe Hamilton and Mike Amston and Dave Barham could all walk in, and John May, there was Martyn and Dave making things happen for them. So that's my little preachy bit finished. Alex, okay, we've got a bit of banter going about the Wicked. So you got a year's worth of Wicked if you won first prize. Sorry, is that right? And then you got a second prize was 2 years supply.
Probably, yeah.
And third prize in mix was a case of Wicked. Was that for this as well? Or something else?
Oh dear.
You got, right. Next one.
Shoving never change.
We got this. What's happening here?
Go ahead, Dave. Vegas, Mark, isn't it?
It is.
This is when though? This is 2003 Big Push, so a little bit after that, is it?
This is the Bush going to play Tornado Worlds at Vegas, and if you zoom in, you'll see on the front of our shirts what it says.
Bush Tour.
Bush Tour, yeah. So we got Mike Amsden, me, Nigel Davis, who helped me set up Foos for Fun with Rob Davey. He was Rob Davey's brother-in-law, also known affectionately as the Rookie, and Martyn. And we went to Vegas, didn't we, Mark, to play there? It was amazing. Yeah.
I'm just trying to zoom in the top right-hand corner, because you look at the list, work out which year it is from the champions. So it's 2000 and what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 2006, and this must be the singles champions: Robert Mares, Terry Moore, Todd Lafreda, Frederic Collignon, Mares, Ron Cipiores. That I can't remember. You guys know. So, and this is your first time back in America since the late 70s. So, how was it?
Great. Got it, Mark.
Well,
absolute blast.
It was to be expected. It was great to see the Pro Masters in action, and I mean, we had a modicum of success, but not anywhere near memorable to bring anybody back on trophy. But yeah, we had a good time, and we were really getting back in the scene then. The Bush was very good to us, and we stayed open late. They sponsored us, as you can see by the shirts, and we had some real characters turning up at the Bush. Yeah, and that was a good trip.
I didn't actually ask you. I should have asked. How did you guys get on when you played in the States in the 70s? How did you play? How were your results?
Well, obviously we got destroyed, but only on the 5-bar. So basically, Martyn could score. He could dink the Yanks like stupid still, and I could bank them stupid. But we couldn't get the ball. Simple as that. No. What do you say, Martyn?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that tournament there, but it was a lovely tournament. I can remember. I think that was Dallas, where I didn't have a partner. This is just a quick story, really. It's got nothing to do with that picture, but it has, in as much as it's a tornado world. And I didn't have a partner, so I was emailing this guy called Mike Hernandez, who said he'd play with me. And so, first round of open doubles, it was me and Mike Hernandez, and because we were the worst team on the seedings, we had to play the top team, which was Bobby Diaz and Tony Spreadman. And of course, that's a baptism of fire. You know what's going to happen, don't you? But unbelievably, we won the first game. And I don't know, were you there, Dave? But there was a few Brits there, the Horan and Rubin. I mean, Tony got the ball 10 times to my 1, but Mike Hernandez flopped it out. And Bobby Diaz hadn't seen my pool kick. He'd seen variations of it, but he hadn't actually seen mine. So we took the first game. Anyway, we lost the second 2, and then they went on to win the final. And Tony Spreadman said to me afterwards that our game, that first game that we took, was the only game that they'd lost all the way through to becoming world champion. So that's my little glorification, you know, my day in the sun. But yeah, it's just great to see these masters play, and if we had more tournaments, more events, we could compete. I mean, Rob, it's an American as far as I'm concerned. But if you take Rob out, there's still a bit of a gap between them and us, I'm afraid.
Well, Joe, I think, is a pro master in US rankings now as well.
Is he?
And I would say probably Rich Marsh and Steve Lyle are probably pro level in the US if they went and played enough, and maybe Callum as well, and maybe anyone else who thinks you are as well. Then you are too. But that's so we're not.
Oh, good.
Our chunk of us is probably in the expert and down, I would say.
Well, I remember when a guy called Alex Shovelton went over to play as an amateur. He was ranked as an amateur, and he did rather well. And I can remember the Yanks getting a bit miffed that he'd come over and played as an amateur and slaughtered a lot of them. That was
quite and upset them. And, I haven't told you all my story because I was playing in the 90s, kind of in the middle of all this. I built the first UK table football website in 1997, by the way. That's when I came back. My first going back was 2010. I went to Vegas because I was living in Mexico. And I turned up and said, "Hi, I'm British. I'm from overseas." And they said, "Well, the last British guy who was an amateur won amateur singles. So you're too good. You've got to play expert or semi-pro."
Oh, no.
And I told them I'd never played a tournament before. And I thought, I live in Mexico. They said, "Right, well, in that case, you're a Mexican." So still to this day, in the American rankings, there's a Mexican player called Will Hawks who got to play amateur singles. He went out and everything. Thanks, Alex. That's why I'm Mexican. Thanks to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk about that, apparently. What's our next? That's our next. Then let me go here. What is this? What's happening here? This is back in Bristol, I think.
Yeah, so I wanted to give some credit to my brother, famous Al, as they call him. He ran a big scene in Bristol that's little known. It was in a pub called Bars Court in Longwell Green, where he lived, and it had a Garlando, and Al promoted table football there for several years, really successfully. It grew into a huge scene, and he had a tournament every Sunday, it became a big thing for just, what I call casual players. So the casual players always went there and they absolutely loved it. And Garlando players absolutely loved it. And if you look at the next couple of slides, the next slide shows, see, this is a picture of the scene. These are all regular players that played every week or even more than that. He had a huge number of players.
This is your brother. That's famous Al, isn't it, there? Yeah,
that's famous Al there. And this is where a lot of people learn to play. And, of course, there you've got Alina. That's why I said to Alina, you've got Alina and Brendan, and they used to play there because they were in Bath or something at the time. And they used to go and play at the Bars Court on Garlando, yeah. Good scene it was. It was a good scene.
So it's a really important thing here for all of us as we get Foosball starting after the pandemic, which is let's not just do stuff for the, inverted commas, us, right? How many fun, super duper tournaments like your brother was, or famous Al, like JP has done in London for many years. You've all seen these things happen. Let's do beginner friendly stuff. Let's never have a snake in a beginner tournament ever. Let's never have anyone who's under the age of 18 ever see a snake. Let's just let people have super fun and they can come back and play like this. Because I bet, Alina and Brendan are now the toast to table football club. They've turned their home into a table football club for kids. And it probably started because your brother was organising these events. So let's go and seed fun stuff like that after this bloody pandemic started. So they were. Were they part of your scene as well in Bristol, or were they?
Yeah, they sort of, for a while. I mean, I'm not quite sure why. Whether it was they were at Union Bath or whatever it was, I can't remember. But they came along every now and again to the Bristol scene. Yeah, for quite a while. Yeah, I mean they're lovely people. I love Alina. I love Brendan. They're just great guys and blooming quite good.
And they went away. When they've got babies, they went away for kind of 10 years and came back the last couple of years and played really good.
Yeah, no, they did. I met them at your tournament, the Tornado tournament in London. Yeah, they came back for that, didn't they?
They came back for that. So what do we got here? This is your local scene in Bristol, isn't it? There's a young James Oates.
Yeah, well, all I can say about that is, as usual, he's always chatting up the ladies and not playing. But yeah, this is a picture of this was the bank, and what we did was when Foos for Fun was going. We had so many players going to the bush that we only had that little room. We only had the one table in a little room. So we set up on a Tuesday night. We set up, a friend of mine called Colin Brooks in Keynsham had a pub, and he had an upstairs function room that wasn't used. And he offered it to me and he said, Dave, you could come along and you can have that whole upstairs for your football club. And I said, well, it'd be good to do that with 2 tables. So we put 2 tables in there, 2 Tornado tables, and it was the Bank Tavern in Keynsham. And we had on a Tuesday night, the Bush was on a Thursday night, and on a Tuesday night we went there, and this was a DYP we had, and you can see there's Dave Barham. I think there's John Shovelton at the back of Mike Amsden there. The guy with the Mohican is Greg Zukowski, who was a Polish guy. And the Malaysian is the Malaysian girl at Bristol Uni that James is chatting up, who was exceptionally good at the back, exceptionally good goalie. And guess what? If you go to the next slide, guess who won it?
Well, just see, you've got Ben Mason there as well. Not to probably Joe Hamilton's back. This is probably Martyn, I would say. Yeah, there as well. Yeah. I don't know who's this tall fellow here.
It was some Polish guy that knew Greg. Yeah, don't know. Yeah.
We got just Alina. Alina's confirming. Hi, Alina's back. Kids in bed. Playing in Nuneaton after that, and says it was fantastic. Great company atmosphere. Let's make foosball fantastic, guys. Again. So here's who won it. Oh.
Aha! Good. Me and the great Dave Barham. Hi, Dave, wherever you are. Yeah, happy days.
Dave was in Mexico. I don't know if he did go in the end. Does anyone know if he's in Mexico?
Will, can I go back 5 minutes to what you were saying about the snake?
Yeah, let's do the snake. Let's do the snake.
Yeah, I'm really mixed about the snake. I was shooting my pool kick, and I've been shooting it for years. And I remember actually when we went to the States, Dave, the second tournament, they changed the handles. So they made the handles massive, and then they put a flange on it. Yeah. So you couldn't get your hand. When I shoot my shot, my finger is actually touching the rod, my index finger. So and I've had to learn that shot. I put hours and hours of learning into that shot, as Dave will tell you. And he's done the same with his shot. The snake is one of those shots, and I mean, Albert Under was obviously back there. Hi, Albert. It's one of those shots where, and I'm probably alone on this, but I don't think it has ever been good for our game. And I'm talking to somebody who had to learn the snake. I was driving over to Mike Bowers once a week, and he taught me the snake. And I only did that because I wanted to remain competitive. But I really don't think that the snake is done any good for our game. I mean, you can play foosball for a youngster can play for a couple of weeks and shoot a snake, short, middle, or long, and he could play and score past Tony Spreaderman. Although he's got a fantastic snake, at least like everything else. So I'm really torn. I remember Reese and I in America, and Reese said, "Oh, you've got to come and see this guy, Billy Pappas." because he was new on the scene, but we'd all heard about him. And on the way, this was like in the evening, we were all having a few beers, the music was loud, and there was Bobby Diaz, and he had his cap the wrong way round, as he always does. And he's had a few beers, and he's crashing this steak into to these kids. And he's not looking, he's chatting, and that was the whole point. He's looking over his shoulder, chatting to his mates, and he was whacking the steak shot. And I just think, I don't know, it's should you be shooting a shot halfway up your wrist and learning it in 5 minutes, or should you, I can't watch a Jim Stevens event with the two snake shooters. I just can't watch an hour and a half, whoever they are, of two snake shooters.
Yeah,
it's so
boring. It's an eternal debate, Martyn, that goes on to this day.
Exactly. So, but Will brought the point out, but I'm just sticking with 5P's worth in saying that I'm probably swimming against the tide. It's never going to happen. But my friend Jeff Bryce ran a no snake tournament. Do you remember that, Will? In Hereford, and he said no snakes allowed, and it was packed, and everybody, because it was relying on everything but the snake. So you had to show artistry. You have to do different things. So I'm not on a soapbox. I'm just agreeing with what you said. Because the last thing you want a newbie to walk into the bush and somebody hits 5 snakes against him, and they think, "Oh my goodness," and they won't come back.
Snake isn't good for the game. Who wants 50 tails of just snake shooting?
Yeah, I agree, Albert, but I think we're in the minority because it's here and it's not going to go away.
A couple of just sort of Will's bit, and we could all talk about this, right? Everyone watching. I think the thing is, the bus has left, right? The snake is here, not going to go away.
Oh yeah.
The World Cup does have a classic event which has got no snakes in. So the World Cup, they've got men's and women's and seniors and juniors, and have classic doubles. Ryan Moore and Blake Robertson won it, no snake. So it's still there. Jeff Bryce wants to do a tournament this summer. If we do a Jeff Bryce tournament, it will be a no snake tournament. I teach kids in the youth centre. The only rule I teach them for 2 months is no spinning. So why would they then see a snake? Because you just told us no spinning. So my view, and what's the most important skill learning to people? Ball control. It isn't the snake. So let's keep people away from the snake until the point when let's not teach them how to score the snake. Let's teach them how to block the snake. Because actually, when you know how to block the snake, and, most people watching this know how to block a snake. Not that hard when someone shows you how to do it. But let's kind of be aware of the snake as a way of destroying someone's passion for foosball.
Yeah. It's here to stay. On the very top level, it's not going to go anywhere. But you're right. Teaching the kids, if you want to bring, thank you, Michael. If you want to bring the kids up, then just keep the snake well away from them. Introduce it later on if they really want to go on. They want to play in a club. They want to play competitions, and maybe in the World Cup. Then fine, but don't start them on the snake because they're either running for cover or they won't. I suspect most of them will run for cover.
I also think because too many people are playing the snake. Actually, if a Team GB junior team turns up only shooting tic tacs, pull kicks, and push kicks, the Austrians and the French won't know how to block it. When Team GB men played against the Americans in the quarterfinal of the World Cup, and Joe and Judge and Rob all did tic tacs on Bonzini, the Americans couldn't stop it.
No.
The French. What am I talking about? You know what I mean. But let's go back to the pickies. Let's go and see what's coming up next. So we got here more of your fun. Who's is that Mike Fowler again on the left?
That's Mike Fowler, yeah.
And who's this young lad playing with you then, Dave?
That's James, my son, as he knows.
Tell us about James's game and how he got into foosball with you, Dave.
Well, James is unbelievably naturally talented at foosball because he plays hardly ever. He plays once a week if he's lucky with us now at All Stars now and wherever we play. But he's never played more than once a week maximum and usually less. He's never practiced. He's never had his own table. And he can still beat me, which is really depressing. It's really depressing. He is naturally talented. If he actually put his mind to it and practiced, he'd be like right up there with everybody. But he's just lazy. But basically, I put this in because it's the crown. which was the next venue after the bank. The bank, we got kicked out of the bank in the end because people were abusing it, which I won't go into as what they were doing. But basically, we ended up in the Crown, and we were at the Crown in Keynsham for several years. And I had quite a big scene. And again, Alex will remember this. He used to come. And Joe Hamilton came, blah, blah, blah. But the Crown was quite a venue for a number of years. So I just put it in there as a place people will remember.
And then we've got this stuff suddenly. We've got all the, let's do this bit. Let's go overseas. What's happening here?
Well, this is the ITSF World Cup, which is the first World Cup ever. And let's be honest, the ITSF have done an amazing job of reinvigorating foosball, is I suppose the way to put it. And they started it off with some tournaments and then this amazing World Cup. And Martyn will talk about this a bit more in a second. And Reese was there, look, as you can see, and Bruce and Alex. It was the first massive World Cup event held by the ITSF in Germany. And we were there.
And this is where it took place. What is this?
That's it. That is the that's the venue. It's an old German fish market, which
that, oh my word, it looked like that. We'll go back.
It looked like that. Yeah, it looked like that inside. It was the first, as Dave said, the very first World Cup, and it was fantastic. They'd obviously spent a lot of money on getting all the teams there because they sorted our hotels out by country. They ferried us in from the hotels by taxis or coaches or whatever, and took us back every evening. And it was just a great event.
Look at that! It's pretty cool. You got some pictures of the you weren't the only. Oh, the Irish are there as well. They're in a picture somewhere, aren't they? There's the two of you. Which one? That one. There you go.
Hey.
This lot, your mates.
Yeah. That's the Irish team. They were in the same hotel as we were.
You can see all the people there. Like there's Des O'Rourke, Declan Egan. There's Brian Fox in the back. Bruce has sneaked in there somehow as an honorary.
What's Bruce doing there?
And then there's Jude Fitzgerald. Yeah, there's Norman. There's Louise. There's Brian O'Connor on the right. There's all sorts there. They were great guys. We had amazing fun. Amazing fun.
Actually,
we all stayed in the same hotel.
So here's
doesn't Jude and Louise play for us now? Have they sort of got swapped their passports or something? Do they play for Team GB now?
Jude plays with green socks on, I think, when he does it. So
that was just a picture of us.
And then, I'm going to set this is. So you took this then. This
is. But we had to put this in because this is a legendary Jim Stevens, isn't it? And Mr. Inside Foos himself, he was there commentating and filming it. And to this day, I think Jim would agree, the match between France and USA is one of the greatest matches there's ever been. It was unbelievable. Me and Martyn sat in the crowd and we watched that game, and it was one of the best games there has ever been, without a doubt. So he filmed it. So that's well done. Also, there's Moya Tillens there, and Moya was a lovely person, Moya, and she was from Canada and one of the best women ever to play the game, and a lovely, and she's no longer with us, sadly, as well, which is terrible. And Eric Dunn, who was a Canadian on the team as well. Yeah.
And if you want to watch that game, by the way, guys, get your Inside Foos subscriptions. My little plug for Steve Lyle's lot. It's all there. There's so much foosball to watch. If you haven't got your Inside Foos subscription, go on, Martyn.
I'm just saying that Jim Stevens would tell you about that France-America game. And he talks about it because I listened to the Foos radio. Well done, Reese, by the way, for staying up until 2 in the morning to contribute. So he still talks about that American game, that French-American game, which was fantastic.
I can see Dave Oates in the background if you look carefully. You weren't taking a picture of Jim and Moya and Eric, you were taking a picture of Dave.
I'm stalking Dave.
That's funny. I have a winning record against Moya Tillens. That tournament I went to as a Mexican, somehow my partner and I beat Moya Tillens. Credit to my partner. Right, here you go. This is who else?
This is it. This is us actually watching that game, and that is Kathy Brainard sat next to me, and she was huge back in the TS days, and is still, putting a shift in this generation.
And
Because
that's
we all know
Dave
the guy on.
Carrington as well, isn't it?
Dave Carrington is a great guy, and when I sat at Foos for Fun, Dave Carrington was the guy I was dealing with in Tornado, and he's fantastic. He's done loads for the game. Kathy Brainard's done loads for the game as well. They're both two fantastic people, and we had great fun chatting to them at that event.
Okay, and then what is this? This is you guys going back afterwards, is it? What's this?
Yeah, this is. I mean, when you come back from the World Cup like that, you get inspired a bit, So we just started to promote the game a bit more and locally, and this was just an example of, where we were in the Bank or the Crown, and you can see the lovely Hannah Ramley on the right, who was a fantastic player from Southampton with Ollie Deakin, and it was just trying to promote the game. Foos for Fun. My company was just trying to, promote sport with Rob.
And there's Rob eating the ball. I like that. Let's talk a bit about Rob. I think there's a picture somewhere. I don't know if it's here or later on. Is it? I'm going to jump ahead to one with Rob, because let's talk a bit about him. I know he's a great friend of yours. There you go. So tell us a bit about what Rob was like. Well,
Rob Davey was an unbelievable character. I mean, this is a picture of him with James. And, he came back on the scene, walked into the bush. Martyn can tell you that. He just walked into the bush one day and he was back. And, before long, he was as good as, not as good as he ever was, but nearly as good as he ever was. And a damn good player. He was such a character. Rough diamond. Loved him to bits. And I got him a job at AXA, where I was working, insurance in AXA. Rob needed a job, and so I got him a job at AXA, and he became a team manager. And when James got a job, he got a job at AXA, and James went and worked on Rob Davies' team. So James's team manager was Rob Davey, and he said to me, he said, Dad, he said, you won't believe some of the one-to-ones I've had with Rob Davey. And I said, I would believe it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I met Rob a few times. Extraordinary profane.
Yeah, you don't want no Rob Davies story could possibly be broadcast on here.
No. You couldn't have him on Foos Talk Live. It'd all be like XXX.
He would have you in complete stitches, and we all miss him like crazy.
Yeah. And as a player, I mean, I remember seeing he had an incredible push kick, right?
Oh,
one of the best ever. Yeah.
And he learnt the pool as well. He learnt the pool shot, and that was pretty good as well.
And snake and 5-bar and everything else as well.
Yeah. He was a terrific 5-bar.
Yeah.
And he was all over you. You played Rob, but he was, it could be a pickup game or it could be the final of the tournament. But he would not let you win. He was a winner through and through, and he hated losing. But he was a good loser, but he didn't like losing.
I jumped ahead a bit, so let's go back and see what we got some great pictures in here. I know we're kind of getting towards 2 hours, but I don't care. We're just having loads of fun, so we'll just keep going. This is where are we? That's that one. What's this one then? This is 2007.
Yeah,
more
this
championships in Bristol.
If you zoom in a bit, you'll see this was Foos for Fun sponsored the BFA that year, and we ran the BFA UK multi-table championships, as well as the Foos for Fun Open in Pro 5 in Brislington, which was a five-a-side football place, and we ran this the national champions. If you go back to
you keep talking while I go and find what I've done here. It'll turn up. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, and I just included this because it was a national championship. The next slide, if you go to the next slide, this is that actual event, and I thought you can't talk about Bristol without talking about Jeff Bryce, Sarah Bryce, Louise Bryce, Amy Bryce. I mean, they were a key part of the Bristol scene. Lovely girls. All
Yeah.
of them were fantastic. Sarah was particularly good, but they were all plumbing good, and they're all lovely people. And I loved them to bits. So I just wanted to include the Bryces because they've done a lot for table football. And we need to recognise that they've done lots of stuff over the years. And that was fun. And they were, you can see, they used to enjoy themselves.
And that looks like an Andrew Nubbert lurking behind Louise.
Yeah, it's Nubbert behind and a guy called Chaz Allen from Bristol on the left.
Right, we go. Then we've got some more. This is another 2008 now UK Tornado Championships.
Yeah, Martyn was there. Remember, talk about Ryan Moore, Martyn.
Well, I couldn't believe that Ryan Moore would come to a little village, a holiday camp, Heidi High, to play foosball, and he came down and supported us and took part in the event that you can see there. And as Dave will remember, Ryan Moore and Rob Ather got to the final. And sometimes, you know, people split games and they don't really try, but Rob Ather really gave it something. He gave that final was something else with Ryan Moore.
It was. Rob really played incredibly well, and it was an incredible final. I expect Alex might have been there. It was an incredible final, fabulous event, and it was, like I say, in a Heidi High holiday camp in Clevedon.
Yeah,
great event. About 7. He's still a junior at this point, right? He's not even. No.
If you go to the next picture, that's a picture of Rob and
Rob and Dave, but Ryan would have been a junior.
They won it. No, they won. That is that same event, the Foosball event. They won that, and it was just before they went off to the ITSF Worlds.
Oh, cool. And then you've got another blurry one here. Who are these folks?
Dave Law and Brian Connor from Ireland.
Came over from Ireland.
And they won the semi-pro. But it was just, again, to show that the Dublin guys, they were always coming in and out of our tournaments all the time. Great guys.
But we went over to theirs as well, mind you, Dave. I mean,
yeah, we did.
I can remember at least twice going over to Dublin. Dave Corrington ran the last one that I went to. So, yeah, there was a good chemistry between us.
Then we got another one. This is the same place next year, 2009. Ben Mason.
Yeah. This is one Mace ran again at Warren's Holiday Village. Yeah, amazing venue.
ITSF Master Series, no less. Big event.
Yeah.
And then we got some hair.
I just put this in to embarrass them.
This is some hair.
I mean, Chris Lyle, what did he do? And Rich, my good friend Rich, I mean, they really were stylish in them days. Well,
Dave, we saw your hair in the 70s, so it's just styles change. I love this. This is great. And then this is another World Cup here, isn't it?
Yeah, this one, you can see Martyn standing next to Eddie in the back there. This one was 2009, I believe, when Rob Ather won it with Joe.
With Joe.
Are you sure?
It might be the year before. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know when that was, but I just want 2 minutes to congratulate the seniors because I obviously read about their silver medal and their epic victory over the USA, which I saw the thing, Will. I watched it, and I thought that was a brilliant.
It was great.
But I just want to say one thing, okay? While I'm here, before COVID kills us all, I've got my 2 bronze medals for the seniors in 2010 and 2011. But I just want to say, you know, I said about one ball that changed Dave Oates's and basically changed everything for us. We were playing in the semi-finals, and we were playing Germany, and we were tied. Did you hear about this story, Will?
No.
The seniors we were playing, I'm sure Dave or Reese will tell me what year. It was either 2010 or 2011. And we fought like tigers. We got to the semi-finals. The prize was to play the Americans on the big stage at Nantes. We were behind the big stage in the semi-final, and we were tied to the Germans. And it got to 4-4. and I was playing with Chris Howden, and I got the ball at the front. The Germans and then had a few other Europeans were cheering like mad for them. The Brits were behind us, including the Americans, and that ball would have got us, our team, back in 2010. I'm sure Dave Zeman will remember. Would have got us to the final, and we would have got a silver medal. So I know how hard it is to get there. And you know, when I had the ball, I called a timeout and came back. I executed the shot really well. It still hurts now, Will. What am I talking about? I executed the shot well. I think the guy's name was Muller. He blocked it. Long story short, they won. And
was it a dink?
No, it was a long ball kick. And the feeling of loss at that point was horrific, because I felt as though it was all down to me, it was my fault. When afterwards, in reality, it wasn't. We could have won it before it came to that last ball. So I'm just saying, we nearly got a silver medal as well, all but one ball. And you know, we always lose to the Germans on penalties, don't we? Let's be fair. But we were very, very close on getting to the final, playing the Americans. I believe Eurosport covered it as well. But it was the Germans against the Americans, sadly. And that one ball that Dave and I were very happy to win cost us. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in.
Medals are a hell of a feat as well. You know, it's so hard even to get there, because the competition in these tournaments is unbelievably hard. Did you say you've got 2 bronze medals, Martyn?
Yeah, I got 2 bronzes here. I thought I'd drag them out. Bronze medal, 3rd France 2010, and 3rd senior 2011. I think it was probably the 2011 one where we had one ball to get to.
One of our seniors has popped up. George Eade is out there. He was the photographer who took this picture. Hi, George. Great to see you. 19 people watching now, guys. We're past 2 hours into this show.
What?
Let's see what's next. Let's see what's next. This is, oh my goodness me.
I haven't had me tea yet.
There you go. He can win the World Cup. So this guy who walked into the bush one day in his PE kit and has been playing with you, then goes and becomes the world champion. That's
right, exactly. So we promoted that like crazy, as you can imagine, in the Bank and the Crown and whatever. We were promoting his win all around Bristol, and this is just an article of, you know, the Evening Post in Bristol or whatever that took it up. So it was great. It was good for the sport for a little while. Yeah,
that's cool. And then what's this then? Bath Spa.
Well, again, I've just included this because the Bath scene was really close again, a crucial part of the Bristol scene. And every time things died in Bristol, we'd sort of revert to Bath. And there was a guy that some people will know called Josh Yeager, really nice guy who ran some tables in London and Bath, Bonzini and Tornado and stuff. And when all of our venues died, we went to play in his venues in Bath. And the Bath Spa Open is just an example. I'm not sure if Rich Potts ran this when he was at Bath Spa Uni, but it's just an example of how there was still a big scene in Bath, even after the Hat and Feather.
This is Table Football Centre, so this is on Jeff Bryce Garlando's.
Yeah.
That would be... That's a cool picture, that. And then... What's our next one? Oh, what's this? Oh, I remember.
Did you ever go there, Martyn?
Yeah, that was that Stroud? No.
No, that's the Bristol Foos Room.
This was John May's baby, isn't it?
This was set up by John May, and he rented a sort of summer house type thing at the bottom of somebody's garden, like a building at the bottom of a garden in Clifton, and he set up all these different tables, and it was like an ITSF training centre concept for playing table football.
So this is that's a fireball. That's Lowen on the left, isn't it?
Lowen, yeah.
Is that a TS?
TS, yeah.
Yay!
Who would have 4 tables at the bottom of their garden in a shed? Ahem.
And it wasn't even his garden.
Reese Roberts.
See,
Reece
John May.
Where Josh Yeager is, by the way. Do we know?
I think John May ought to be congratulated as well, because he really tried to flood the market with fireballs. And he put them everywhere.
John's done
classic,
lots.
Yeah,
John's back in Bristol, by the way. Just so you know, if you want to get going, he's got a little baby, him and Kieran, but he's back in Bristol.
Oh, is he? Right.
Fantastic.
Good. He's done a lot for the game, John. He's tried lots of different things.
Yeah.
He's a bloody good player.
Yeah.
Right. Then we had that one we talked about.
Move on that. Yeah.
These two people. Oh, what? Look at this. There's another chapter of Southwest Foosball. This is in Gloucester, isn't it?
Yeah, this is when, again, John May, Chris Lyle and Mace were looking to do something as a company called 5 Bar. They set up a company called 5 Bar, and I said I would help them get a venue and help them, promote table football and do stuff. And so I managed to get this venue in Gloucester, which was owned by a millionaire who was keen on snooker. Paul Mount was his name. And he had this purpose-built venue for snooker called the Capital Venue. And I managed to get a deal with him that we would run table football tournaments in that venue. And that venue was amazing because it had the tiered seating like the Crucible in Sheffield. And this is an example of where we had 3 tables set up for the finals. So we had the finals in the Crucible.
Like that, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And that, of course, Rob Ather won all of them.
Really?
Yeah. And what made me laugh was Rob Ather doesn't get beaten when he's in his home territory. Michael Blasic came over and other foreigners came over. I mean, the fantastic Bonzini players, the Dos Santos, Miguel Dos Santos and Herve Dos Santos, they all came over. We had quite a lot of international players, but none of them could beat Rob in the UK. He absolutely annihilated everybody and won every event.
Dost came across. Mark Dost from Netherlands came, didn't he?
Yeah, Mark Dost, he annihilated him as well. Yeah.
Miguel and Herve, I remember them. Loads of people came. They were really good. They were really fun events.
They were fantastic events. We ran 4 of them. And then unfortunately, and we had 20 Leonards there, it's great. But unfortunately, the millionaire guy fell out with the guy who runs World Snooker, Barry Hearn. And so Barry Hearn pulled all these snooker events from the Capital Venue because he was running snooker events for the World Snooker Association. They got pulled and he got miffed and he decided he was just going to shut it all down and turn it into offices. So that's what he did. He shut it down and he turned it all into offices.
There's some pictures of some of the events. There's we got here. And this is your group of people who are playing there as well. There's the first member of the British Table Football Association on the right.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah. We used to play every Thursday night.
So you've got, that's Greg Zakowski, Alex Salentai. Is Alex Salentai still around? He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a great player. Still around.
My goodness me, what a good player he is. That's James, Chris, Dave. And this is Nick Wen from Malaysia.
Yeah.
And we don't know who this chap is.
No.
Next to Alex.
Who's the guy on the right, Will? Who's
he? He's watching still, isn't he?
I've seen his face somewhere. I can't remember.
Yeah. Greg Zakowski, Alina's like, oh, Greg. I remember my first UK tournament. Greg Zakowski told Alina where the hole was in my zone, and Alina just shot me from the back with her 2-bar. Greg's, I think, back in Poland now, but he was a part of your group for a while, was he?
Yeah, for a long time he was a part of the scene, yeah.
Then, Dave, we got our last bit, I think, of the next chapter of Bristol. Well, not quite the last, but more Bristol Foosball. What is Cafe Uffaluga turning into this? What happened?
I had another rush of blood to the head, Will. When the Capital Venue finished, we had nothing again. So we had no scene. So I thought, well, I've got to do something, create a scene. That Cafe Upenhagen was available for rent, and it was a wreck. It was a complete wreck.
There you go.
And if you go back to the original one, a total wreck. And so my good lady wife, who's long suffering and still suffering tonight, she helped me transform that place into the Foosball Academy. And we set it up, as you can see, on a foosball theme. You can't see it, but even on the door, we had foosball players on the men's toilets, I opened basically an academy trying to promote the sport in Bristol, just behind the Colston Hall, and it was lovely. It was great. We had great fun. Ran it for about 2 years, and then I just couldn't keep running it because it just got, I was there every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday afternoon, and it just got too difficult. So,
what a cool thing to have done. And then you've got your last scene. This is All Stars, isn't it?
This is All Stars, and this is the current scene. If Martyn wants to come back, we'll be starting again on the 25th of May. And this is when we played Nuneaton. We had a friendly against Nuneaton at All Stars. Great venue. And this is All Stars on a busy night.
That looks really fun. For that, and that's your Christmas DYP or something, isn't it?
The legendary Christmas DYP we have every year, which brought Kath Brown. Kath Brown came back for that.
And that's our last picture. But Martyn, while Dave's been doing all this, I do want to hear about, because you probably stopped playing actively a few years ago. You've been doing other things, including getting involved with 10-pin bowling. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, yeah, it was strange times when Foosball died and the Bush died, and and I was setting my own business, and all sorts of things were going on. David's got a son who's roughly would you say James is Tom's age? Anyway, they're about the same age.
Yeah.
James took the Foosball route, and so I couldn't actually at the time play foosball and support him with his bowling. I mean, he was obsessed with it, like James is obsessed with foosball. So I kind of took a sabbatical from foosball, and Tom to this day is a fantastic 10-pin bowler. He's won several leagues. He's got almost as many trophies as I have. And it's good fun. I mean, I help run the leagues when I can, and I do my bit. So like Dave would support James, I support Tom. But after this sort of sabbatical and this COVID nonsense, I'm beginning to get the football itch, and I haven't christened your place yet, Dave. But hopefully I'll be there at some point.
I'm sure Kev Fitzgerald will say, yeah, come on and join us, Martyn.
And I know, Martyn, you said it's not just Reese listening to Foosball Live, but you're also following those podcasts as well. Oh,
well, me?
Yeah, you're enjoying the podcast as well. So, like you say, it's just a virus that sticks with us forever. We're always interested in this game.
Yeah, I quite like the US, it's very slick. Have you listened to it, Will?
I listened to every single one. I've listened to all 54 of them.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Well, I've listened to them. Yeah, I'm not gonna do a Reese and stay up, but I've listened to the last 5 or 6, including the hilarious Tony Bacon interview. I don't know if you heard that. But,
it wasn't hilarious.
No, it's going to go down. But I like what they're doing, and I like what you're doing, by the way, and just keeping us talking, keeping it going. We still have this frustration, don't we, of getting players. How do you keep them, clubs, etc. You and I have talked about this prior to tonight, and the foosball will never die. It's just trying to get it back to some sort of order, and maybe the kids, as you said, maybe the youth. We need to start right at the very bottom and get them going.
It's if we sort of go, we sort of finish by going right back to the start, because we're now 2 hours 15 minutes in.
Yeah, better
right?
wrap it up.
Because otherwise, Mrs. Oates is going to get cross with Dave, and Mrs. Hawks and Mrs. Harris and so on. But sort of going back to where it started for you guys, walking into a youth centre and meeting each other in 1970 something or other, and that sort of pure fun that hooks us all into it. That we're all here after 2.5 hours still chatting on a Sunday night because we love it. Let's see how we can bring people in and not scare them away with a snake shot, and not be too good, not invite them to a national tournament and go 2 and out and go home. Let's make sure whenever we have an event, the most important person in the room is the new person. And they just think this is the best thing. I can't wait. And by the way, I'm going to bring my friends as well. And let's make it super safe and friendly for young people and women, and inclusive and accessible and sociable and brilliant. Let's just take this game back to what it was like when you guys walked in the 70s and met each other. There's just so much fun in this. We all know that.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Thank you.
Will, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you.
I honestly can't believe the time. I thought maybe an hour, but you're right. It's 2 hours. Incredible. Where did that time go? So thank you very much, Will. And I hope we haven't bored the pants off too many people.
We've still got 14 people out there. We've got a few final closing comments. Alina was about to start Toaster Foosball. Alina, I was talking to a guy in Bedford this week who wants to start a club in Bedford. And I said, and he's got some children as well. So I might send him Toaster because it's the other side of Northampton where you guys are. Kevin Fitzgerald says to you, Martyn, come on.
Kev, I'm coming, Kev. I'm coming. Get ready.
Mike Russell loves a bit 10 pin.
Yeah, good stuff, Mike.
Foosball nerds, Gary File, who's the guy who invented that, like the 5-bar as we all know it today, was invented by a guy called Gary File, who was a 10-pin bowler. Steve Lyle is out there. Hi, Steve.
Oh, hi, Steve.
There you go. Albert, saying thanks very much. Reese.
Thanks, Albert. Yeah.
Reese.
Thanks, Reese.
Steve Finey show was also a good one as well. Well, say goodbye if you're watching, guys. And I want to thank Martyn and Dave. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to doing this conversation with you. It's been really cool. And I can't wait to see you guys on the table.
Pleasure, Will. See you.
Right, cheerio, everybody.
So, yeah, I will close the broadcast. Cheerio. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
And there you go.